Charles Leclerc has just shaken the very foundations of Ferrari, and he didn't need to wait for qualifying, a fastest lap, or a bold move on track to do it. He did it with something far more unexpected and far more powerful: his voice, his honesty, his intent. Because in the days leading up to the Spanish Grand Prix, one of the most critical turning points of Ferrari's entire season, Leclerc dropped a bombshell statement that has left Lewis Hamilton utterly speechless and thrown the entire team into a whirlwind of uncertainty. This wasn't a throwaway comment. It was strategic, precise, and loaded with meaning. At a time when Ferrari's 2025 campaign hangs by a thread with make-or-break upgrades arriving in Barcelona, has made it clear the future of this team must be built around him and Hamilton, with a car that reflects their shared aggressive style. The timing couldn't be more explosive. If the Spanish upgrades fail, Ferrari may abandon the SF25 entirely and shift focus to 2026. The stakes absolutely massive. So don't go anywhere, because what Leclerc just said could change everything. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us until the end to catch every single detail. What makes all this even more extraordinary is how Leclerc masterfully chose both his moment and his message. On the eve of the Spanish Grand Prix, a weekend that could redefine Ferrari's entire trajectory for 2025, he sat down and laid bare not just his thoughts about the car, but his entire philosophy about where this team must go. And while the tone was calm, the implications were volcanic. Didn't just praise Hamilton's influence, he dissected it. He spoke about how he's already adopted some of Lewis's tricks during race phases, subtle yet crucial shifts in driving execution that can make the difference between a podium and an anonymous finish. But it didn't stop there. He pointed to something deeper: Hamilton's relationship with the engineers, the precision of his feedback, the sharpness of his communication, and the sheer efficiency of the team he's built around him over the years. In Leclerc's own words, Lewis is a master, not just behind the wheel, but in managing the chaos that surrounds a top-tier Formula One career. And that kind of praise coming from someone as fiercely competitive and emotionally invested in Ferrari as Leclerc is no small gesture. It signals not only admiration, but alignment and a desire to learn, evolve, and grow alongside Hamilton. Not against him, but fans who expected fireworks between the two. What they're witnessing instead is something far more dangerous for the competition: unity. A convergence of two elite drivers with complementary strengths now pulling in the same direction. And this synergy couldn't come at a more pivotal time. Ferrari's situation is more fragile than ever. The team may be second in the standings, but that's a technicality. They're 177 points adrift of McLaren. Hamilton still hasn't seen a podium, and the SF25, for all its promise, remains wildly inconsistent. The upgrades coming into play this weekend in Barcelona aren't optional refinements. They're the final throw of the dice. Underneath the surface, Ferrari's engineers are quietly implementing the most aggressive set of changes the car has seen all season. A redesigned front wing tailored to meet the new FIA rigidity standards, introduced by TD018, aims to restore balance while removing any ambiguity around legality. A reworked rear wing with a flatter main plane is intended to recover the downforce levels lost earlier in the year. And perhaps most critically, a new suspension setup is under evaluation, one that could finally allow the car to run lower and more planted, unlocking the kind of rear-end confidence and Hamilton have both been begging for. But here's the risk: these changes could either unleash the car's potential or confirm that its core platform is simply too flawed to fight for wins. It's a make-or-break-act gamble. And Leclerc's public commitment to unity with Hamilton suggests he knows just how high the stakes are. This is no longer about one driver outshining the other. It's about forging a united front to rescue the season before it slips beyond reach. And with the FIA's FlexiWing crackdown now fully in effect, this weekend is more than just a race. It's a laboratory. Every team will be exposed. Every weakness will be magnified. Ferrari are betting that the aerodynamic shakeup will stall McLaren's rise, slow down Red Bull's cornering tricks, and bring the field closer. But even that won't matter unless their own car finally behaves like the championship contender it was supposed to be. So here we are at the edge of something that feels far bigger than just another race weekend. This isn't simply about strategy calls or upgrade packages. This is about a team, Ferrari, grappling with its identity. A team haunted by past failures, seduced by future promise, and currently stuck in a no-man's land of unfulfilled potential. And in the middle of that storm stand two drivers with completely different pasts. But as we've now learned, a remarkably aligned vision for the future. Charles Leclerc has chosen this moment to step into a leadership role in the most Leclerc way possible, not by demanding it, but by earning it, by showing the maturity to acknowledge Hamilton's value, by advocating for a dual driver development path, and by inviting Ferrari to think bigger, act bolder, and trust in collaboration rather than hierarchy. That's not just a driver speaking, that's a leader planting a flag in the ground. At the same time, Lewis Hamilton finds himself in unfamiliar territory, not just with a new car, a new team, and new surroundings, but now with a teammate who isn't fighting him, but rather championing him. And that shift may be the very thing that unlocks Hamilton's full potential in red. Because this isn't just about setup preferences or engineering feedback anymore. It's about creating a culture inside Ferrari where trust flows in both directions, where experience meets hunger, and where both drivers push each other to a higher level. And that's what makes this next chapter so compelling. If Ferrari gets it right, if the upgrades in Barcelona finally click, if the aerodynamic reset closes the gap to McLaren and Red Bull, if the SF25 finally starts behaving like a car worthy of its badge, then this moment, this declaration from Leclerc could go down as the turning point, the spark that reignited belief in Maranello, the moment when Ferrari stopped surviving race to race and started building towards something sustainable, something powerful, something world-class. But if they get it wrong, if the car still lacks bite, if the points gap widens, if the upgrades backfire, then the fallout will be brutal. The narrative will flip. Leclerc's comments will be seen not as a rallying cry, but as a cry for help. Hamilton's first season at Ferrari will begin to look less like a bold new adventure and more like a painful misstep. And for the team, the pressure from above, from the boardroom, from the 2C, from the global media will reach levels we haven't seen since the darkest days of the post-Alonso, post-Vettel years. This right here is the pivot point. Everything that happens from this weekend onwards will either validate or unravel what's being built between these two drivers. Every corner in Barcelona, every radio message, every pit stop, it's all under the microscope now. Because when a driver drops a bombshell like this, he doesn't just raise eyebrows, he raises the stakes. So don't look away. Don't treat this like just another pre-race headline. Because the truth is, what Charles Leclerc has just done may well be the most important thing said all season. It's a shift in power, a shift in mindset, and perhaps the beginning of something that could change the fate of Ferrari forever. If you're as fascinated by this unfolding drama as we are, now's the time to dive deeper. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you stay right until the very end, because the details we're about to explore may just change the way you see the rest of the 2025 Formula One season. And trust us, you don't want to miss